But he came back. Every time he lost, he came back and got that bitch again. Same team and beat him. Dope. Yeah, hey. Welcome back to the channel. We about to hop into the top 10 biggest NBA draft busts in history. Let's get into it, man. Let's do it.
Double-edged sword. If they're spent wisely, any franchise can become a contender in just a few years. If the franchise screws up the draft, they'll miss one of the few chances to make their team competitive, leaving them stuck in the mud and ridiculed by the world. In this video, we'll talk about those instances where the GM screwed up badly. Here are the 10 biggest NBA draft busts ever. Number 10, Adam Morrison. Adam Morrison always looked like a really tall member of a punk band, but when he was at Gonzaga, that long hair and thin mustache was averaging 28 points per game.
You don't remember Adam Morrison, huh? He played for Charlotte, I think.
And was a finalist for the NCAA Player of the Year. Morrison was the third draftee to shake David Stern's hand in the 2006 draft, and Charlotte hoped he'd be their franchise player for the next decade. But he wasn't. Morrison shot just 37% from the field as a rookie, and it was obvious he'll never come close to his college numbers. It was straight downhill from there, as Adam blew out his knee in season 2. When he returned, he was a shell of the player that once led the NCAA in scoring. He won 2 titles with the Lakers in 09 and 10, warming the bench, because that's all he was good for at that point, after which he retired at the age of 25.
God damn.
Yeah, I'm a Laker fan. I didn't even know that nigga played for.
Retired at 25 is crazy.
Hey, at least you got 2 of them motherfuckers.
Number 9.
You know?
Derek Williams.
Derek Williams was raw in 2K.
Second pick in the 2011
2K13,
draft.
14.
He was drafted ahead of Kemba Walker, Klay Thompson, and Kawhi Leonard, among other players who all had better careers. Williams is a prime example of a highly athletic player who shined in college just because he was more physically talented than everybody. Once he got to the NBA, where everyone is athletic, the truth was soon out.
Come on. All that big tall shit, that shit don't mean nothing. Nigga sorry like a motherfucker. No skills, can't dribble. Come on, you just tall, gang.
Prime example of a highly athletic player who shined in college just because he was more physically talented than everybody.
Right, bigger than everybody.
Once he got to the NBA, where everyone is athletic, the truth was soon out.
Come on.
It was ugly. Williams couldn't shoot. He couldn't dribble. And he couldn't defend. Apart from a few highlights, Williams didn't produce much and showed almost no improvements in his game. After bouncing around the NBA, he's now playing overseas, even though he's still in his 20s.
Everybody who talks should dunk, though.
LaRue Martin.
Yeah.
LaRue Martin was another successful college player who simply wasn't good enough for the pros. Drafted 1st overall in the NBA and 3rd overall in the ABA, Martin was considered the worst #1 pick for a long time.
That's crazy. He was drafted 1st overall in the ABA and NBA. He must have been that thing back in the day.
Successful college player who simply wasn't good enough for the pros. Drafted 1st overall in the NBA and 3rd overall in the ABA, Martin was considered the worst #1 pick for a long time. He was selected by the Portland Trailblazers in 1972, whose scouts saw Martin in 2 college games.
It seemed like Portland just got a terrible history of drafting boo-boo ass nigga. They passed up on Jordan, KD.
Because they're trying to build a roster.
They don't know what the fuck
They
they're
never
doing.
had, really.
Which was enough for them to draft him in front of future Hall of Famers Bob McAdoo and Julius Erving. When he came to the NBA, it was apparent that he could not play, and that he's more suited for minor leagues. Despite being a 6'11" center, LaRue shot just 41.6% from the field for 5 points per game. After 4 years, he was out of the league and retired from basketball after rejecting multiple offers from Europe. Number 7.
Put your hand on my shoulder, nigga. 5 points scoring ass
nigga. NBA GMs still search for dominant centers that can battle in the post against the behemoths that were Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, or Dwight Howard. And Hasheem Thabeet, a 7'3" center, had plenty to offer to those GMs, at least on paper. He was extremely athletic and mobile for that size and length, and had half the NBA drooling.
Hey, Hasheem Thabeet was cold, though. OKC.
NBA GMs still search for dominant centers that can battle in the post against the behemoths that were Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, or Dwight Howard. And Hasheem Thabeet, a 7'3" center, had plenty to offer to those GMs, at least on paper. He was extremely athletic and mobile for that size and length, and had half the NBA drooling over his defensive potential. Unfortunately, his basketball skills were far below his athletic gifts, and Thabeet proved to be a player with arguably the lowest basketball IQ to ever play in the NBA. Thabeet later admitted he only started playing ball after his growth spurred, and that his only interest in the game was because he thought he could get drafted and make money. Memphis wasted their second pick on a player that never averaged more than 3.1 points in a season. And Thabit was out of the league after 5 years. Number 6 and number 5, Sam Bowie.
Big for nothing ass niggas.
Before the 1984
all the
draft,
Boston big niggas, man. That's crazy.
Trailblazers needed a center. They needed someone that could battle with Kareem and the Lakers. And they already had an all-star shooting guard, Jim Paxson, and 2 talented young wings in Clyde Drexler and Kiki Vandeweghe. So, they drafted Sam Bowie in front of 3 future Hall of Famers, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and John Stockton. Bowie's scouting report described him as an...
Yeah, Portland, yeah. What will run Portland, bro? Or ran Portland? You niggas are not bright at all.
Center. They needed someone that could battle with Kareem and the Lakers. And they already had an all-star shooting guard, Jim Paxson, and 2 talented...
Who the fuck is Jim Paxson or Michael Jordan?
Drexler and Kiki Vandeweghe. So, they drafted Sam Bowie in front of 3 future Hall of Famers, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and John Stockton. Bowie's scouting report described him as an athletic rebounder, a masterful blocker on defense, and an extremely versatile weapon on offense, who can move well, shoot from outside, and pass better than most
shooting
NBA
threes
centers
back
at
then,
the
so that's
time.
probably why
The
he
only
dropped
issue
him.
was his left leg, which he broke during his junior year at college. But Portland's officials determined it was fully healed, and that it would be a non-issue going forward. I can still remember them taking a little mallet, and when they would hit me on my left tibia, I would tell them, I don't feel anything. He ended up playing just 139 out of a possible 410 games in his first 5 seasons. Despite his injuries, Bowie has had an 11-year NBA career in which he averaged 11 points,
like
7.5 rebounds, and 2 blocks.
No
While Portland's reasoning is understandable, they drafted what they needed at the time. You can't argue with the results. And because he was drafted in front of Michael Jordan, many consider Sam Bowie as the biggest bust ever, through a little fault of his own. And 23 years later, history repeated itself.
Damn, Portland again?
Portland had the first pick. They decided to spend it on the best center in the NCAA instead of another generational scorer. Greg Oden was supposed to be the next Shaq, and it really looked like he could be the next dominant NBA center.
He was dominant in high school.
Unfortunately, those times were very short. Oden played just 82 games for the Blazers, after which multiple knee injuries have forced him to retire at the age of 22, not counting the short stint with the Heat. I'm not keen on calling Oden.
He played 82 games.
He retired at 22.
That's 1 season, bro.
And you ain't play for no other team.
Man.
Goodbye.
I feel bad for Greg, man. He couldn't control it in the injury this year.
Oden played just 82 games for the Blazers,
he was dominant,
after which multiple knee
played.
injuries have forced him to retire at the age of 22, not counting the short stint with the Heat. I'm not keen on calling Oden a bust, because the man could really play when he was healthy. But the problem is that he was never fully healthy, and that the team who drafted him would have drafted Kevin Durant instead. Number 4, Michael Oluwakandi. Coming from Nigeria and standing at 7 feet, Michael Oluwakandi had a golden ticket to make it to the NBA. He was big, strong, and athletic, which was enough for him to bully most of his opponents in the NCAA. He dominated the Big West Conference in his senior year, with the averages of 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game, and was named the Big West Player of the Year. It was enough for the Clippers to select him first overall, in front of Vince Carter, Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Pierce, Mike Bibby, or Antoine Jameson. When he came to the league, he and everybody else soon realized that his size and athleticism could only go so far. Although Oluwakandi was a solid defensive player, he never developed any sort of offensive game, apart from open dunks and putbacks. The Candyman averaged just 8 points per game per his career, on dreadful 43% shooting, which is unacceptable for any center, let alone the first pick. Number 3, Kwame Brown. At first, he was the perfect rags to riches story, not uncommon in the NBA. Growing up surrounded by guns and violence, Kwame Brown kept his behind in the gym, and it paid off. Kwame was a fast and athletic 7-footer who was averaging more than 20 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 blocks as a high school senior. He was named the best high school player in the country and the greatest talent of his generation. He became the first high school player selected first overall, rejecting multiple offers from the NCAA, which would...
Damn, first high school player ever selected number 1 in the NBA draft. That mean he was that thing. For real. What? He was raw in high school and college.
The best high school player in the country.
I mean, high school.
Greatest talent of his generation. He became the first high school player selected first overall, rejecting multiple offers from the NCAA, which would have been more suited for his basketball and emotional development. But there's simply no turning down.
He wasn't
Michael
bad
Jordan
though.
And millions that come with the first
He just
pick.
wasn't
So
what they
he
thought he
became a
was.
wizard. And once MJ decided to make another comeback, Kwame also became a teammate of the man who just drafted him, which didn't go so well for him. After an initial friendship between the 19-year-old kid and the man twice his age, who many called the GOAT, MJ started to lose his patience with Brown. He berated him at every chance he could and insulted him like he did Jerry Krause in The Last Dance. Kwame couldn't take it, and he completely lost his confidence and then never regained it. He averaged just 6.6 points, 5.5 rebounds, and half a block per game in his 12-year NBA career, frequently switching
Yeah, 12 years in the
to a bust
league.
label, following him
That
everywhere
ain't no
he
buzz,
went.
bro.
Number 2. Darko
He was
Milicic.
durable, a role player.
Darko Milicic was presented to the general public.
That's what
the
that's
next
like.
star
6
big man
points
from
average in
Europe,
that?
and was supposed to follow the trend set by Dirk and Pau Gasol. The Pistons had the second overall pick.
Did you not hear that nigga say Jordan was belittling him?
Yeah, it's Michael Jordan. I get it.
You 18 years old, bro. Coming to the league. Your favorite player you look
You
up
playing
to.
with Michael
No,
Jordan.
look. You 18 years old coming to the league. Your favorite player you look up to. Telling you, man, come on, bro.
Man, you think these kids are playing with Curry right now? And be like, oh, Curry yelled at me.
Fucking right.
Fuck out of here. They're gonna be like, I play for Golden State.
Yeah.
I play with Curry.
Man, these niggas soft, man. You lying.
Future Hall of Famers, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Coach Larry Brown had a championship team in Detroit, and there were not many minutes for Darko, who handled it very immaturely. He never worked hard in practice. He partied almost daily. When he got an opportunity to play, he pouted and isolated himself from the team. The Pistons traded him in his third year. After just 96 games he played for them.
You got drafted.
LeBron, Melo, Wade, and Bosh were all averaging over 20. Darko averaged just 1.6 points, with 1.2 rebounds for Detroit.
He should have been number one on here.
How do you average 1 point?
Just 6 points and 4 rebounds.
I mean, you're not getting many points unless it's from the line. And then you're missing
25% of all players selected first overall make first-team All-NBA at least once, while 55% of them play in at least one All-Star game. When it comes to Anthony Bennett, not only did he not make an All-Star team, just 4 years after he got selected first overall, he was already out of the league. Far from a spectacular college player, Anthony Bennett became the first Canadian selected as the first pick of the NBA draft. To much surprise, the whole world. He was picked ahead of Giannis Antetokounmpo, CJ McCollum, Rudy Gobert, Victor Oladipo, Steven Adams, and other quality players. Some will say that the burden of the first pick ruined Anthony Bennett, that he never developed his game due to pressure, and that moving from team to team ruined his potential. But that's simply not true. He was just plain bad. Bennett was inefficient offensively, with a low basketball IQ, and he couldn't guard a chair.
Yeah, I only remember a highlight of this nigga, I ain't gonna lie. He was drafted number 1 in 2015.
He shouldn't have been drafted at
Trash.
all, let alone with the first pick.
Stayed in college, my boy.
He's the biggest bust to ever play in the NBA. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe as we put out videos.
Nah, that was a cool video. Let me know what y'all want to see next, though, man.
Yeah.
Go.